Welcome to today's explainer. Look, if you're operating a UV digital printer, you already know that creating a flawless, vibrant print feels a bit like magic. But when things go wrong, well, that just feels like tossing expensive substrates straight into the dumpster. Behind all that printing magic is actually a very strict set of rules. So today we're going to unpack the invisible chemical forces and the precise hardware tuning required to get perfect UV prints every single time. We're talking about achieving total synergy between your equipment, your ink, and your substrate.
I want to kick things off by asking you this. Why is it that advanced, incredibly expensive UV printers can still spit out totally failing prints? Seriously, there is nothing more frustrating than investing in top-tier equipment, dialing in a beautiful design, and then just watching the ink chip right off or beat up on the surface. You know you're using the right ink, you've got the right machine, so what exactly is going wrong here?
To figure that out, here is our roadmap for today. First, 1. The perfect UV print. 2. The science of dyeing. 3. Optimizing ink adhesion. 4. The mechanics of calibration. 5. 6 steps to calibrate. And finally, 6. Mastering UV print quality. Let's jump right into Section 1, the perfect UV print, beyond the printer. If you ignore the relationship between your printer, your ink, and your substrate, you're going to run into some incredibly expensive symptoms. We're talking about ink literally beating up on the surface instead of laying flat. You'll see inconsistent coverage that leaves this patchy, super unprofessional appearance. On flexible materials, you might experience delamination where the print just peels right off, which is a nightmare when a customer brings a product back a week later. Over time, overall durability just tanks. And you might even see banding or incomplete curing where the ink actually stays sticky. These aren't just minor annoyances, guys. They are absolute production killers. That brings us right to Section 2, the science of dyeing, the chemistry of adhesion. To really understand why those print failures happen, we have to look at the invisible force that dictates exactly how your specialized liquid UV inks behave on a solid surface. This is your dyeing level. Also known as surface energy, it basically measures a material's surface tension. Think of a high dyeing level like dropping water onto a dry kitchen sponge. It immediately wets the surface and soaks right in. But a low dyeing level, that's like dropping water onto a freshly waxed car. The water just beads right up and rolls off. If your material acts like that waxed car, or like you're trying to paint on Teflon, your UV ink absolutely doesn't stand a chance of sticking. So high dyeing levels, or high surface energy, are your absolute best friend in UV digital printing. This state guarantees excellent wettability. Your UV inks are going to spread smoothly, form really strong chemical bonds, and cure flawlessly under those lamps. Low dyeing levels, on the flip side, mean poor wettability. This is the direct culprit behind the ink beading, the delamination, and the patchy coverage we just talked about. Without sufficient surface energy, your print is essentially doomed before the UV lamp even kicks on. Let's look at how we fix this in Section 3, optimizing ink adhesion. Preparation is key. The best part here is that you aren't just stuck with whatever surface energy your material came out of the box with. You can completely control it. You can artificially raise it. Tools like flame treatment systems and pyrosol pretreatments physically alter the surface structure. Basically, they give the material microscopic teeth to make it incredibly receptive to UV ink. But, how do you actually know if your treatment worked? Well, you use dye and test pens and kits for super quick, accurate, in-house quality control. And to guarantee that chemical bond is really going to last in the wild, the industry standard is to perform the ASTM D3359 tape test. By actively treating and testing, you are taking total control over the chemistry of your substrate.
Now we're shifting gears to Section 4, the mechanics of calibration, tuning the machine.
Let's pause for a second because there is a very hard truth in digital printing that we need to talk about. Perfect surface energy cannot save a misaligned printhead. You could have the most flawlessly treated substrate in the entire world, rockin' perfect high dyeing levels, but if the physical hardware that's dropping the ink is out of tune, you are still going to produce waste. Your chemistry and your mechanics simply have to work together. So when exactly do you need to calibrate? Let me tell you, this is definitely not a set it and forget it kind of deal. You absolutely must calibrate immediately after your initial machine setup and anytime you change ink types or swap in new print heads. But crucially, and honestly, this is where so many shops drop the ball. Calibration needs to be a scheduled monthly preventative maintenance routine. And of course, you drop everything and calibrate whenever unexpected print quality issues suddenly pop up. It's really the only reliable way to maintain color consistency and kill those frustrating streaks.
Okay, let's get into the specifics with Section 5, 6 Steps to Calibrate the Operator's Playbook. We are going to walk through the actual operator's playbook for tuning a UV printer. It's a very logical, step-by-step sequence. Step 1 is mechanical alignment. You're physically inspecting your rails, belts, and carriage to make sure there's no friction or looseness. If your carriage is dragging, your print is going to suffer, period. Once everything's tight, Step 2 is running a nozzle test pattern right through your software to spot any microscopic clogs. Clear there? Great. Move to Step 3 and perform a print head alignment using the machine's built-in wizard to lock in exact drop accuracy. Step 4 is tweaking your ink density and droplet size for those buttery smooth gradients. Step 5, perform color calibration using the specific ICC profiles for your exact ink and substrate combo. And finally, Step 6 is checking the UV lamp position and power settings so you aren't undercuring or overcuring the ink. It's a perfect flow from the physical hardware rails all the way up to your digital software profiles. When you're out there visually troubleshooting, you can actually trace specific symptoms right back to their cures. Seeing broken lines or faded areas, you cure that by running a nozzle test pattern to hunt down clogs. Getting blurry edges, your cure is a print head alignment. If you're noticing uneven fills and gradients, you need to adjust your ink density and droplet size in your RIP software. And hey, if the ink feels sticky or just undercured to the touch, your cure is adjusting the UV lamp position and power. Honestly, keeping a troubleshooting guide like this taped up near your operator station is going to save you hours of guesswork. Now, to make sure these calibrations actually hold up, experts recommend a few universal best practices. Always use genuine parts and ink recommended by your manufacturer. I know the temptation to buy cheap third-party ink is super high, but it often ends up completely destroying sensitive print heads. Make sure you keep your RIP software and firmware updated. And this is a big one. Always perform your alignment tests on the media you actually use the most in your shop. Tuning a printer on a thin sheet of standard paper isn't going to help you if you spend 90% of your day printing on quarter-inch thick acrylic. Let's wrap this all up in Section 6, Mastering UV Print Quality. Chemistry meets mechanics. Achieving that flawless print requires a really disciplined balance of material preparation and mechanical precision. To get that perfect output synergy, you've got to rigorously test and treat your substrate dyne levels right off the bat. Then, you execute those mechanical checkups we just talked about to eliminate any physical banding or hardware misalignment. Next, you utilize the proper ICC profiles in your RIP software for exact color matching. Finally, you standardize this entire workflow. By bringing the chemistry of surface energy and the mechanics of calibration together, you're effectively eliminating waste, reducing your downtime, and absolutely maximizing your shop's profitability. I want to leave you with this final thought to really chew on today. Take a hard look at your own production floor. Are you actively treating your substrates to guarantee chemical adhesion and routinely tuning your hardware to ensure mechanical precision? Or are you just pressing print and hoping for the best? Taking total control over both your dyne levels and your printer calibration is literally the only way to transform hope into guaranteed, flawless UV output. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you on the next one.